of minutes. We are already live. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So we are very close to end of Krishna book. Ah. Never we thought that we would be completing. So we all started, and numbers would drop. It's okay. Dedication would drop. It's okay. Only the dedicated would be continuing. Else, everyone would come and let's get started. And yes, those who want to read may unmute themselves. Yes,
Hare Krishna
Rashimata,
Prabhuji.
would you start or should I start? Because I believe there are not many readers today. There would not be. Okay, but I need 130 seconds. Hmm. Okay, is the laptop would discharge by itself, and it would be an issue. Yeah. Okay, so let's get started. Let me start, and thereafter everyone who wants to read may join in. Yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna. So this is chapter 86, the killing of Subhadra and Lord Krishna's visiting Shrutadeva and Balushwa. Hare Krishna. I don't know why this tickling sound is coming. Okay, let it be. After hearing the incidents described in the last chapter, King Parikshit became more inquisitive to hear about King Krishna and his pastime. And thus he inquired from Sukdev Goswami. So Parikshit Maharaj has been hearing pastimes of Krishna from Sukdev Goswami, and he is continuing the inquisitiveness of uh, King Parikshit, because we have learned in Srimad Bhagavatam that the hearer too must be qualified. This is the qualification of uh, good hearer, right? What would he do? Uh, Look, someone who is hearing about Krishna, if he is qualified, what would he do? When given a chance, he would talk more and more about Krishna. That's the qualification. Yeah. So, given a chance, Parikshit Maharaj is trying to understand more and more about Krishna. So, he became more inquisitive to hear about Krishna and his pastime, and inquired from Sukdev Goswami uh, about whom. Now, about this is about Subhadra Maharani. Why was he kidnapped? Why was Maharani? Why was she kidnapped? Why was Subhadra Maharani kidnapped? Yeah. So, uh, Sukdev Goswami, how his grandmother Subhadra was kidnapped by his grandfather uh, uh, Arjun at the instigation of Lord Krishna. King Parikshit was very eager to learn about his grandfather kidnapped his grand and married his grandmother. Yeah, Parikshit Maharaj is grandson of uh, Arjun. Yes. So, thus, Sukhdev Goswami began to narrate the story as follows. Once upon a time, uh, King Parikshit's grandfather, Arjuna, the great hero, was visiting several holy places of pilgrimage. Uh, please try and understand. Very important point. I did not focused upon that. Uh, so this is uh, uh, at the instigation of Lord Krishna, right? Please try and understand. As a devotee, or those who are aspirant of being a devotee, their rule number one is whatever is favorable for Krishna, I would do. That is rule number one. I do not understand anything happening in this world, but whatever is favorable for Krishna, I would do. Krishna himself is saying, to Arjuna, Krishna is personally saying, do this. Why would Arjuna not do? He is a first class devotee. He would always do. He would always do what is favorable for Krishna. Yeah. So, at the instigation, no, please. At the instigation of Lord Krishna. Yeah. So, King Parikshit was very eager to learn about how his grandfather kidnapped and married his grandmother. Now, Sukhdev Goswami began to narrate the story as follows. Once upon a time, King Parikshit's grandfather, Arjuna, the great hero, was visiting several holy places of pilgrimage, and while thus traveling all over, he happened to come to Prabhasa Kshetra. The Prabhasa Kshetra, he heard, um, in Prabhasa Kshetra, he heard the news that Lord Balrama was negotiating the marriage of Subhadra, the daughter of Arjuna's maternal uncle. So Balrama was already at it. Uh, Balrama wanted to get Subhadra Maharani married to someone. Who is that? We would come to know. So in Prabhasa
Duryodhana.
Kshetra, yeah, in Prabhasa Kshetra, he heard the news that Lord Balrama was negotiating the marriage of Subhadra, daughter of Arjuna, huh? The daughter of Arjuna's maternal uncle Vasudev. Although her father Vasudev and her brother Krishna were not in agreement with him, Balrama was the only one. So Balrama was in favor of marrying Subhadra to Duryodhana. Oh, Duryodhana. Hmm? Uh, now, actually, this is not like. Uh, uh, Look, who is Balram? First, let's understand this. Who is Balram? Balram is an expansion of Krishna. Why would he get married to someone who is demoniac? This is the question. Is not this a valid point? How can Krishna get her own sister, and Balram is just Krishna only? Yeah, he is expansion of Krishna. So Krishna, why he himself want to get her sister married to someone who is demoniac? Hmm? Yes, anyone has any answer? Actually, there are two answers to this. Yeah, anyone has any answers to this? Why Balrama, who is expansion of Krishna? So Krishna, why Krishna himself is getting her sister married to Duryodhana? Now, very simple 2 points. One, uh, so this is all about rasas, and this is Krishna's way of explaining things. So please try and understand. Suppose there is good, you would understand what is bad. But suppose there is no good, how would you understand what is wrong? To understand wrong, you must know what is correct. So Krishna is explaining that part and this part. Both part is played by Krishna himself. Yeah. So Krishna in the form of Balram is trying to get her sister married to Duryodhana. Uh, Trying, he is not doing it. He is just showing. Hmm? So this is exhibition. At the same time, we must understand one more part. Hmm. Krishna is merciful to everyone, even to demons. The problem with demons is they do not realize it. They do not get it. Krishna is merciful to everyone. Krishna is not partial. Krishna is merciful. So, two reasons why Balarama is doing it. Look, suppose I'm just giving you a hypothetical situation, and it happens, right? We have seen this happening in many lives. Suppose Balarama wanted to get her sister Subhadra married to Duryodhana. After knowing this fact, if Duryodhana would have developed surrenderance towards Lord Balarama and Lord Krishna, then he could have been purified. A demon would never agree. Like Arjuna, he would always agree. A devotee would always agree. A demon would never agree. He would never agree to Krishna's plan. That is the quality of a demon. A demon would never agree to the plans of Krishna. Right? So even when Balrama wants to get her sister get married to Duryodhana, right? This Duryodhana would not correct himself. He was always wrong. He would always be wrong. That is demon. Uh, a demon would always disagree with plans of Krishna. Right? So Krishna is always merciful upon everyone. A devotee would agree to Krishna's plan. A devotee would try and work according to Krishna's wish. A demon would never. That's the difference. Yeah. So two reasons we understood. Okay. Arjuna, however, desired to. No, let's continue from here. Although the father, Vasudev, and the brother Krishna was not in favor of agreement with him, Balarama was in favor of marrying Subhadra to Duryodhana. Arjuna, however, desired to gain Subhadra's hand himself, as he thought of Subhadra and uh, her beauty. Arjuna became more and more captivated with the idea of marrying her. And with a plan in mind, he dressed himself like a Vaishnava sannyasi, carrying the three danda in his hand. The Mayavadi sannyasis take one danda, one rod, while the Vaishnava sannyasis take three danda, three rods. The three rods or three danda indicate that the Vaishnava sannyasi vows to render service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead with his body, mind, and words. The system of three danda sannyasa has been in existence for a long time, and the Vaishnava sannyasis are called three dandis and sometimes three dandi swamis or three dandi goswami. Sannyasis are generally meant to travel all over the country for preaching work. But during the 4 months of the rainy season in India, from July through October, they do not travel but take shelter in one place and remain there without moving. The non movement of the sannyasi is called Chatur Masya Vrata. When the sannyasi stays in one home for these 4 months, the local inhabitants of that place take advantage in his presence to become spiritually advanced. Arjuna, in the dress of three dandi sannyasi, remained in the city of Dwarka for 4 months of the rainy season, devising a plan whereby he could get Subhadra as his wife. None of the inhabitants of Dwarka, including Lord Balrama, could recognize the sannyasi to be Arjuna. This is very spicy. Uh, Please try and understand. Can anything be hidden from Krishna? Uh, at any point, can anything be hidden from Krishna? It's not possible. It's a plan of Krishna that in the form of Balram I would not recognize. I could not. Come. I do not know you. Right? That's the way. None of the inhabitants of Dwarka, including Lord Balrama, could recognize the sannyasi to be Arjuna. Therefore, all of them offered their respects and obeisances to the sannyasi without knowing the actual position. One day, Lord Balrama invited a particular sannyasi to lunch at his home. Balramji very respectfully offered him all kinds of palatable dishes, and the so-called sannyasi was eating sumptuously. While eating at the home of Balramji, Arjuna was simply looking at the beautiful Subhadra, who was very enchanting to great heroes and kings. Out of love for her, Arjuna's eyes brightened and he looked with glittering eyes. Arjuna decided that somehow or other he would achieve Subhadra as his wife, and his mind became agitated on account of this strong desire. Now, please try and understand. This is again difference between a demon and devotee. Now, there could be two scenarios, right? One scenario is whatever may be the situation here. Subhadra Maharani is there, but whatever may be the situation. Uh, One situation is I feel this, therefore I would do it. Right? Please remind me of this in Bhagavatam classes at 9 p.m. One situation is that I feel this, therefore I would do it. Right? I feel this is correct, so I would do it. Now, ideally, people would say that okay, we can only think through our minds only, right? What is wrong in this? I would do only what I could understand, isn't it? I cannot do what you understand. Sorry, a devotee is a different entity altogether. A devotee does not want to know what I understand. A devotee wants to know what would be most favorable for Krishna. He really is not concerned about what he thinks. He might be thinking something extraordinarily great, but if it is not favorable for Krishna, he would not do it. Now, Arjuna is thinking to get married to Subhadra. Now, there are two parts. First, Krishna himself is making him get these emotions, right? Uh, Now, please try and understand a devotee who is completely surrendered to Krishna. Now, he, like, there's a lock and a key, right? Now, he gives his keys to Krishna. Whatever Krishna wants, Krishna can do. Right? His keys always lies with Krishna. Now, a devotee is always guided by Krishna. Right? So Arjuna was guided by in these emotions by Krishna himself. Krishna wanted this to happen, so Krishna gave all the feelings, all the emotions to Arjuna. Right? So first part. Second, again, after each and everything happening, he would always be concerned about one thing, not what I am feeling, but what is most favorable for Krishna. If it is favorable for Krishna, then I would do. If it is not favorable for Krishna, I would not do. That's the real test of a devotee. A devotee does not have long plans with himself. that I would do this and this and this and this and this and this and this in my life. No, a devotee is not concerned about all these things. A devotee is concerned about one thing: what is favorable for Krishna. You tell me just one thing. What is favorable for Krishna? Yeah. So Arjuna would again be fixated upon what Krishna feels, not what he thinks. Yeah. Okay. Anyone who wants to read, Rashi Mataji, would you continue? You wanted to read. Else I would. Hare Krishna. Rashi Mataji, I could not see you unmuted. Then, yeah, Mataji, please continue. No, next paragraph. Arjuna. Should I continue? Okay. Arjuna, the great grandfather of Parikshit Maharaj, was himself extraordinarily beautiful, uh, and his bodily structure was very attractive to Subhadra, who decided within her mind that she would only accept Arjuna as her husband. Again, Subhadra Maharani is guided by whom? Her own heart? No. Uh, it may appear that Subhadra Maharani got this feeling, but Krishna himself made Subhadra Maharani think so. Yes. Uh, who decided within her mind that she would accept only Arjuna as her husband. As a simple girl, she was smiling with great pleasure looking at Arjuna. Thus, Arjuna also became more and more attracted by her. In this way, Subhadra dedicated herself to Arjuna, and he resolved to marry her by any means. He then became absorbed 24 hours a day in thoughts of how he could get Subhadra as his wife. He was afflicted with the thought of getting Subhadra and had not a moment's peace of mind. Once upon a time, Subhadra, seated on a chariot, came out of the palace fort to see the gods of the temple. Please read this with caution. Here, gods does not mean gods. Here, gods mean demigods. Yeah. Okay. Uh, gods in the temple. Uh, Arjuna took this opportunity and with the permission of Vasudev uh, uh, and Devaki, with the permission of Vasudev and Devaki, he kidnapped her. Actually, he took the permission of Krishna as well. So Vasudev might have been written as. So no, right now it's Vasudev and Devaki. Uh, with the permission of father and mother of uh, yes, uh, yes, Subhadra Maharani. With the permission of Vasudev and Devaki, he kidnapped her. After getting on Subhadra's chariot, he prepared himself for a fight. Taking up the bow and holding off with his arrows, the soldiers ordered to check him. Arjuna took Subhadra away. While Subhadra was thus being kidnapped by Arjuna, her relatives and family began to cry. But still, he took her. Just like a lion takes the prey and departs. When it was disclosed to Lord Balrama that the so-called sannyasi was Arjuna, who planned such a device simply to take away Subhadra, and he had actually taken her, he became very angry. Just as the waves of ocean became agitated on the full moon day, Lord Balrama became greatly disturbed. Lord Krishna was in favor of Arjuna. Therefore, along with other members of the family, he tried to pacify Balrama by falling at his feet and begged him for pardon. Arjuna. Krishna convinced Lord Balrama that Subhadra was attached to Arjuna, and thus Balrama became pleased to know that she wanted Arjuna as her husband. The matter was settled. And to please the newly married couple, Lord Balrama arranged to send a dowry consisting of abundance of riches, including elephant, chariot, horses, men servants, and maid servants. Now, one very important thing. Look, tradition has always been that a bride chooses the groom. Now, to all those who think that uh, uh, in Sanatan Dharma, right, women are not given equal position. No, women are not given equal position. Women are given higher position. Now, this is not the only case. This happens always. Swayamvar, right, where a woman, a bride, chooses his groom, husband. Here too, when Ramji came to know that Subhadra Maharani wanted Arjuna as his husband, done, right? So Balramji was angry only. Actually, Balramji knew. Balramji is Krishna himself, so he knew. But he exhibited his anger only because of one reason. How could anyone take my sister away, snatch my sister away? Hmm? This is not possible. I would kill that person, right? So that was the attitude, and correctly so. But when he came to know that this one, Balramji, rather, Subhadra Maharani wanted this to happen, hmm, he did not have any issues. Yeah. Maharaj Parikshit was very eager to hear about Krishna, and so after finishing the narration of Arjuna's kidnapping Subhadra, Sukdev Goswami began to narrate another story as follows. There was a householder Brahmana in the city of Mithila, the capital of the kingdom of Videha. This Brahmana, whose name was Shrutadeva, uh, okay, Shrutadeva was a great devotee of Lord Krishna. So Mithila Krishna would be going. Yeah, we have heard this story. Okay, um, past time I should say. So there was a householder Brahmana in the city of Mithila, in the capital of kingdom of Videha. Um, this Brahmana, whose name was Shrutadeva, was a great devotee of Lord Krishna because he was fully Krishna conscious and always engaged in the service of Lord. He was completely peaceful in mind and detached from all material attraction. He was very learned and had no desire other than to be fully situated in Krishna consciousness. Although in the order of householder life, he never took great pains to earn anything for his livelihood. He was satisfied with whatever he could achieve without much endeavor, and somehow or other he lived in this way. Every day he would get the necessities of life in just the quantity required and not more. This was the destiny. The Brahmana had no desire to get more than what he needed, and thus he was peacefully executing the regulative principles of Brahmana's life as enjoined in the revealed scripture. Fortunately, the king of Mithila was as good a devotee as a Brahmana. King again. So there are two devotees. Now this was Shrutadeva, who was very poor. Now there is king. The name of the famous king was Balu Shrava. Hmm. Yes. Bahula Shrava. Shava. Bahula Shava. Bahula Shava. Yes. Bahula Shava. He was very established in his reputation as a good king, and he was not ambitious to extend his kingdom for the sake of sense gratification. As such, both the Brahmana and the king uh, Bahula Shava, Bahula Shava remained pure devotees of Lord Krishna in Mithila. Since Lord Krishna was very merciful towards these two devotees, King Bahula Shava and Brahmana Shrutadeva, he once one day asked his driver Taruka to take his chariot to the capital city of Mithila. Lord Krishna was accompanied by great sages like Narada, Vamandeva, Atri, Vyasdeva, Parshurama, Asita, Aruni, Sukadeva, Brihaspati, Kanva, Maitreya, Chainava, and others. Um, Lord Krishna and the sages passed through many villages and towns, and everywhere the citizens would receive them with great respect and offer their articles in worship. To the citizens who came to see Lord and all the assembled sages, it seemed as though the sun was present along with his various satellite planets. On Now, satellite planets are whom? The sages, right? Okay. On that journey, Lord Krishna and the sages passed through the kingdoms of uh, A- Anatra, uh, Dhanva, Kuru Jangala, Kanka, Matsya, Panchala, Panchala, Kunti, Madhu, Kekya, Koshla, Anna. And thus all the citizens of these places, both men and women, could see Lord Krishna face to face. In this way they enjoyed celestial happiness. These people, with open hearts, full of love and affection for the Lord, and when they saw the face of Lord, it seemed to them that they were drinking nectar through their eyes. When they saw Krishna, all the ignorant misconception of the life dissipated. When the Lord passed through the various countries and the Lord came to visit and the people came to visit him, simply by glancing over them, the Lord would bestow all good fortune upon them and liberate from the kinds of ignorance. In some places the demigod would join with the human beings, and their glorification of the Lord would cleanse all directions and all inauspicious things. In this way, Lord Krishna gradually reached the kingdom of Videha. When the citizens received the news of the Lord's arrival, they all felt unlimited happiness and came to welcome him, taking gifts in their hands to offer. As soon as they saw Lord Krishna, their hearts immediately blossomed in the transcendental bliss, just like the lotus flowers uh, upon just like the lotus flowers upon the rising of the sun. Previously, they had simply heard the names of great sages, but had never seen them. Now, by the mercy of Lord Krishna, they had the opportunity of seeing both the great sages and the Lord Himself, King Bahula Shava and Brahmana Shrutadeva, knowing well that the Lord had come there just to grace them with favor, immediately fell on the Lord's lotus feet and offered their respects with folded hand. The king and the Brahmana each simultaneously invited Lord Krishna and all sages to their home, to his home. In order to please both of them, Lord Krishna expanded himself into two and went to the houses of each one of them. Yet neither the king nor the Brahmana could understand that the Lord had gone to the house of the other. Both thought that the Lord had gone only to his house, and he and his companions were present in both houses. Although both the Brahmana and the king thought that he was present in one house only, the another is another opulence of Supreme Personality of Godhead. This opulence is described in the revealed scripture as Vaibhava Prakasha. when Lord Krishna married 16,000 wives, he expanded into 16,000 forms, and each one of them as powerful as himself. Similarly, in Vrindavana, when Brahma took Krishna's calves and cowherd boys, Krishna expanded himself into many new calves and boys. Bahula Shava, the king of Videha, was very intelligent and was a perfect gentleman. He was astonished that so many great sages, along with Supreme Personality of Godhead, were personally present in his home. He knew perfectly that conditioned soul engaged in the worldly affairs cannot be 100% pure. Hmm. Whereas the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees are always transcendental to the worldly contamination. Therefore, when he found that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and all sages were present in his home, he was astonished and he began to thank Lord Krishna for his causeless mercy. Feeling very much obliged to and wanting to receive his guest to the best of his ability, he called for nice chairs and cushions, and Lord Krishna, along with the sages, sat down very comfortably. Uh, at the time, King Bahula Shava's mind was very restless, not because of any problem, but because of the great ecstasy of love and devotion. Please try and understand every emotion that you could think of. If you connect that with Krishna, uh, uh, it becomes perfect. We often say this in our classes: anything plus Krishna equals to best. Now, this Bahula Shava, mind is agitated. Now, agitated mind is never good. Agitated mind is never good. Arjuna is crying, almost crying in Bhagavad Gita. Right? My mind is so restless, I am not able to control. But when your mind gets restless for Krishna, that's ecstasy. That's pure devotional love. Yeah. So please try and understand. Everything should be in connection with Krishna. If it is in connection with Krishna, it does not matter what are you thinking. Everything becomes perfect. Yes. So let's continue. Uh, at that time, King Bahula Shava's mind was very restless, not because of any problem, but because of the great ecstasy of love and devotion. His heart was filled with love and affection for the Lord and his associate, and his eyes were filled with the tears of ecstasy. He washed the feet of his divine guest, and afterward he and his family sprinkled the water on their own heads. After this, he offered the guest nice flower garlands, sandalwood pulp, incense, new garments, ornament, lamb, cows, and bulls in a manner just befitting of the royal position. He worshipped each one of them in this way. When all had been fed sumptuously, uh, uh, and were sitting very comfortably, Bahula Shava came before Lord Krishna and caught his lotus feet. He placed them on his lap, and while massaging the feet with his hand, began to speak about the glories of the Lord in a sweet voice. My dear Lord, you are the super soul of all living entities, and as the witness within the heart, you are the cognizant of everyone's activity. Thus, we are duty bound to always think of your lotus feet so that we can remain in a secure position and not deviate from your eternal service. Uh, as a result of your continuous remembrance of your lotus feet, you uh, uh, you have kindly visited my place personally to favor me with your causeless mercy. Uh, we have heard, my dear Lord, that by uh, your various statement, you confirm that your pure devotees to be more dear to you than Lord Balrama. or your constant servitor, the goddess of fortune. Your devotees are dearer to you than your first son, Lord Brahma. And I am sure that you have kindly visited my place in order to prove your divine statement. I cannot imagine how people can be godless and demoniac even after knowing your causeless mercy and affection for your devotees who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness. How can people who know these things forget your lotus feet? My dear Lord, it is known to us that you are so kind and liberal that when a person leaves everything just to engage in Krishna consciousness, you sometimes give yourself in exchange. You sometimes give yourself in exchange for that unalloyed service. So Krishna gives himself. Yeah. Uh, You have appeared in the Yadu dynasty to fulfill your mission of reclaiming all conditioned soul rotting in the sinful activities of material existence, and this appearance is already famous all over the world. My dear Lord, you are the ocean of unlimited mercy, love, and affection. Your transcendental form is full of bliss, knowledge, and eternity. You can attract everyone's heart by your beautiful form as Shyam Sundar Krishna. Your knowledge is unlimited. And to teach all people how to execute devotional service, you have sent your incarnation, Nara Narayana, uh, who is engaged in the severe austerities and penances at uh, Badri, Badari Narayana. Kindly, therefore, accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. My dear Lord, I beg to request you and your companions, the great sages and the Brahmana, to remain at my place at least for a few days so that this family of famous King Nimi may be sanctified by the dust of your lotus feet. Lord Krishna could not refuse the request of his devotee, and thus he remained there for a few days with the sages to sanctify the city of Mithila and all its citizens. Meanwhile, the Brahmana Shrutadeva, simultaneously receiving Lord Krishna and his associate at his home, was transcendently overwhelmed with joy. After offering his guest nice sitting places, the Brahmana began to dance, waving around his wrap. Shrutadeva, being not at all rich, offered only mattresses, wooden plank, straw carpet, and so on to his distinguished guests. Lord Krishna and the sages uh, uh, but he welcomed them to the best of his abilities. He spoke very highly of the Lord and the sages, and he and his wife washed the feet of each one of them. After this, he took the water and sprinkled it all over the members of the family. And although the Brahmana appeared very poor, he was at this time most fortunate. King Shrutadeva, sorry, while Brahmana Shrutadeva was welcoming Lord Krishna and his associate, he simply forgot himself in transcendental joy. After welcoming the Lord and his companion according to his ability, he brought fruits, incense, scented water, scented clay, tulasi leaf, kusha straw, and lotus flowers. They were not costly items and could be secured very easily. But because they were offered with devotional love, Lord Krishna and his associated accepted them gladly. The Brahmana's wife cooked simple food like rice and dal, and Lord Krishna and his followers were very pleased to accept them because they were offered in devotional love. When Lord Krishna and his associate were fed in this way, the Brahmana Shrutadeva was thinking thus: I have fallen into the deep, dark well of householder life and am the most unfortunate person. How has it become possible that Lord Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and his associates, the great sages whose very presence makes a place as sanctified as pilgrimage site, have agreed to come to my place? When the Brahmana was thinking in this way, the guests finished their lunch and sat back very comfortably. At that time, Brahmana Shrutadev and his wife, children, and other relatives appeared there to render service to the distinguished guest while touching the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and the Brahmana began to speak. My dear Lord, he said, you are the Supreme Person, Purushottama, transcendently situated beyond the manifested and unmanifested material creation. The activities of this material world of the conditioned soul have nothing to do with your position. We can appreciate that not only today today have you given me your audience, uh, but you are associating all with all the living entities as Paramatma since the beginning of the creation. The statement of Brahmana is very instructive. It is a fact that Supreme Personality, Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, and His Paramatma features enters the creation of this material world as Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Shirodakshaya Vishnu. Um, and in a very friendly attitude, the Lord sits along with the conditioned soul in the body. Therefore, every living entity has the Lord with himself from the very beginning. But due to the mistaken consciousness of life, uh, uh, the living entity cannot understand this. When his consciousness, however, is changed into Krishna consciousness, he can immediately understand how Krishna is trying to assist the conditioned souls to get out of the material entanglement. Shrutadeva continued, my dear Lord, you have entered this material world as if sleeping. A conditioned soul, while sleeping, creates false and temporary worlds in his mind. He becomes busy in many illusionary activities. Sometimes becomes a king, sometimes become being murdered, and sometimes going to the unknown city. And all these are simply temporary affairs. Similarly, your lordship apparently also uh, in a sleeping condition entered this material world to create a temporary manifestation, not for your personal necessities, but for the conditioned soul who wants to imitate your lordship as forever, as enjoyer. So that is the problem, and the problem is that we wanted to enjoy, and Krishna gave a solution. Go in this material world and try to enjoy. Yeah. So uh, we have been given this uh, situation. If you want to enjoy, go to this material world. You can enjoy howsoever you want to. Uh, but this is illusionary world. We cannot enjoy. We can never be happy in this material world. Yeah. So let's continue. The conditioned soul's enjoyment in this material world are temporary and illusionary. And yet, the conditioned soul is by himself unable to create such a temporary situation for uh, his illusionary enjoyment. To fulfill his desires, although they are temporary and illusionary, you enter this temporary manifestation to help him. Thus, from the beginning of the conditioned souls entering into this material world, you are his constant companion. When therefore uh, the conditioned soul comes in contact with pure devotees and take to devotional service, beginning with the process of hearing your transcendental pastimes, glorifying your transcendental activities, worshipping your eternal form in the temple, offering prayers to you, and engaging in discussion to understand your transcendental position, he gradually becomes freed from the contamination of material existence and as his heart becomes cleansed of all material dust, you gradually become visible there. In the heart, Krishna would be visible. But when our material dust would be cleansed. Yeah. Although you are constantly with the conditioned soul, only when he becomes purified by devotional service do you become revealed to him. So Krishna is always present, but we are not able to understand. Now, there's one more thing. It's true that we would be able to see Krishna only when our hearts become purified. But it's Krishna's special mercy that Krishna chooses that uh, we should always understand this. If we are able to see Krishna, if we are able to talk to Krishna, right? Even then, we should understand that we are not purified, right? What we need to understand is it is a special mercy of Krishna. Krishna is always merciful, so this is a special mercy of Krishna that we are able to see, right? I'm not pure, but this is a special mercy of Krishna. So yes, when therefore the conditioned soul comes in contact with pure devotees and take to devotional service, beginning with the process of hearing your transcendental pastime, glorifying your transcendental activities, worshipping your eternal form in the temple, offering prayers to you, and engaging in the discussion to understand your transcendental position, he gradually becomes freed from the contamination of material existence. And as his heart becomes cleansed of all material dust, you gradually uh, you gradually become visible there. Although you are constantly with the conditioned soul, only when he becomes purified by devotional service do you become revealed to him. Others who are bewildered by fruitive activities, either by the Vedic injunction or by customary dealings, or and who do not take to devotional service, are captivated by external happiness. This is Maya. External happiness of the bodily concept of life. You are not revealed to such person, rather, you remain far, far away from them. But for one who engages in your devotional service and purifies his heart by constant chanting your holy names, you are very easily understood as his eternal, constant companion. It is said that your lordship, sitting in the heart of a devotee, gives him direction by which he can very quickly come back home, back to you. This direction, this direct, this direct dictation by you reveals your existence within the heart of a devotee. Only a devotee can understand, immediately appreciate your existence within his heart. Whereas for a person who has only bodily concept of life, is always engaged in sense gratification, you always remain covered by the curtail of yogmaya. Such a person cannot realize that you are very near, sitting within his heart. For a non-devotee, you are appreciated only as ultimate death. The difference is like the difference between cats carrying his kitten in his mouth and carrying a rat in his mouth. In the mouth of a cat, the rat feels its death, whereas the kittens in the mouth of the cat feels motherly affection. Similarly, you are present in everyone's heart, but the non-devotees feel your ultimate cruel death, whereas for a devotee, you are supreme instructor and philosopher. The atheist, therefore, understand the presence of God as death, but the devotee understands the presence of God always within the heart, takes direction from you, and lives transcendentally, unaffected by the contamination of material world. I think we are hitting time. I do not want to stop. Uh, we have 3 4 paragraphs. Okay. Let's continue next time. Uh, so we have to continue from here. I really do not want to stop. I'm really sorry. It's time, and if we would be continuing with this paragraph, we would be taking another 5 to 7 minutes, and maybe you all would feel a bit challenged. Okay, so uh, mm, thank you everyone for joining. Let's do Vaishnav Pranam mantra first, and thereafter let's. I wanted devotees to read, but none of your mic were on. So if anyone wants to read, and they can unmute their mic, they can stay like that. Anshika just unmuted her mic right now, so you could unmute your mic like that. And if you keep your mic unmuted and there's no background noise, no whispering noise, nothing like that, I would be very overwhelmed. And whenever the opportunity comes, I would be requesting you to start. Okay, thank you everyone for joining now. Anshika, please start the Vaishnav Pranam mantra and we would continue.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Vanchakalpatarubhascha
Vanchakalpatarubhascha
कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च
कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो
पतितानां
पावनेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो
नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की
जय
जय। इस डिवाइन कृष्ण
जय
प्रभुपाद की
जय
जय।
जय
भगवद गीता की
जय
जय।
जय
श्रीमद् भागवतम की
जय
जय।
जय
सभी भक्तों की
जय
जय। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्णा
हरे
कृष्ण
कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम
हरे
राम हरे
राम
हरे,
राम हरे हरे।
हरे
हरे
कृष्ण,
कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. Do we have any question? If anyone has any question, they may write in the chat box. Fast. If you want to write in the chat box, you have to write something like I or anything to indicate that you have a question. Yes. Uh, I see just one question. Let me answer that. If there is any other question, please. Shweta said that I can read, but I did not see messages. I'm sorry. Okay. So Hare Krishna Prabhu ji, क्या मशरूम को प्रसाद लगा सकते हैं? The question should be framed better. The question should be that is mushroom edible? क्या हम मशरूम को खा सकते हैं? खाने का अर्थ बस इतना होता है. Rather, this is in English class. The meaning of eating for a devotee is that he eats prasadam. So the question is whether I can offer mushroom to Krishna and have it. We should only have leftovers. Whatever Krishna leaves, that we can have. So, can we offer mushroom to Krishna? Actually, please try and understand. There are a lot of things, reasons why we do, why we don't. The simple and the easiest way to understand is what are pure devotees doing, right? Now, to give you perspective, mushroom is being offered in temple in a few places, but it is being offered in temple. So pure devotees are offering mushroom to Krishna. So if they are offering mushroom to Krishna, we can have it. right? There have been a lot of things that has been said earlier about mushroom, but nowadays it is offered to temples. If you want link, I can show you. Yeah. So the all logic rests there. So we should not be thinking beyond. Pure devotees are doing it, so they are more capable and better placed. So if they are doing, means that is fine. We should not engage our mind to understand what is this, what is that, right? If devotees are doing, then that's acceptable. Yeah, I think that answers it. Now that in fact guides us as well. So this does not answer only this question. This answers all the questions. We should always look on to pure devotees. If pure devotees are doing it, then it's okay. If they are not doing it, then that's an issue. Yeah, I hope I answered. Any other question? No questions? Yeah, you can unmute your mic or you can write in the chat. Nothing? Okay. Thank you then. Many thanks for everyone to join in. Let's first stop this one. YouTube live.